Sadler, you're small time.
Oh. Arrive in my cage of torment, my friend.
Don't mind me, I'm seeing some cheese.
So welcome back to the glorious place known to some people as a survival horror corner. Big thanks to any supporting the show. Seriously, you sons of bitches sharing the video and shit, I really appreciate it. So continuing on in the series of Resident Evil, we get to the beast that is Resident Evil 4. This game is the one that almost everyone seems to really like, yet is so different from the others. I wouldn't consider it that polarizing considering the fact that people who like older Resident Evil like this game, people that are newer to the series like this game, and I like this game. As different as it is, it's fun as fuck. Some background on this game as per usual. Resident Evil 4 was released in 2005 for the GameCube and PS2, in 2007 for the PC and Wii, 2008 for the mobile versions, 2011 for the 360 and PS3 being an HD port, and lastly in 2014 again for the PC being the Ultimate HD Edition. Again, some pretty big differences between some of the versions, which I'll cover a bit later. This was directed by Shinji Mikami, and again the man scrapped it halfway through development. I feel as if almost everyone knows this, but the game initially started off as Devil May Cry, but Mikami saw it as too action-oriented and Kamiya took that in its own direction. Shit, their faces are almost identical. The second version is often called Resident Evil 3.5 or the Hookman version. It's more similar, including Leon in the jacket with over-the-shoulder aiming. The leftover E3 footage shows a much different game with a lot more paranormal aspects to it. Some people saw this as a better direction, but the whole paranormal offshoot just doesn't fit. It's cool that the horror element is more prominent, but again the final released version seems superior. So this game is vastly different from any Resident Evil in the series up to this point. It changes so much about the previous formula. Some good, some bad. Now we get an over-the-shoulder viewpoint. Gone are the fixed camera angles and we get full 3D environments. QTEs make its appearance and they're just about everywhere. And there's a bunch of weapons, all that can be upgraded. So getting into this shit, the controls. Oddly enough, the game keeps the tank controls. Like, the game controls fine, other than having a massive turning arc, but it seems strange to keep them with this new viewpoint. It has a quick turn, so good shit. The aiming is great, headshot city. The inventory also gets a dramatic change. Instead of 6 to 8 slots, we get the attaché case. Now we get a shit ton of tiny squares, in which each item occupies a certain amount of these tiny squares. I find this a strange way to handle inventory for this game type. Undoubtedly, the series becomes very action-oriented, so keeping item management in general is a weird design choice. This isn't particularly a negative thing, but why? Anywho, the only thing that bothers me is organizing the fucking thing. It's like a goddamn minigame in and of itself. So the inventory isn't a negative thing, it just doesn't fit the new gameplay. One thing I really like though is they finally mapped the knife to the left trigger. The only other version to get this is the bomb-ass DS version, Deadly Silence. So let's get to the shit ton of gameplay changes. So far in this series, most of the games are pretty similar. You got zombies, fixed camera angles, scarce ammo, limited inventory, and so on. Resident Evil 4 changes all of that. Gone are the zombies. Parasites are all the rage now. Ammo? Fucking please. There isn't buckets of ammo, but it's never a problem. Third-person over-the-shoulder view and 3D environments now take place in pre-rendered backgrounds. So this is the first time in a Resident Evil game where combat is encouraged. Just look at the very first chapter. Right away you're up against mobs of enemies and oh my, a fucking chainsaw? The combat in this game is so fucking great. we're introduced to melee attacks. When you pull off a headshot, your enemy is stunned, leaving them open for a good kick to the fucking face. And from there, you can show them how the United States does justice.
Stop resisting! Don't move! I said stop resisting! Criminal scum! He's got a weapon! Get down! Stop resisting! Don't move! You piece of shit!
This is integral to crowd control. Everything about the combat in this game is super fucking satisfying. Kicking Ganados, headshots, blowing up crowds of people, stopping that flying axe before it hits you in the face. There's a lot of times where you can easily avoid the combat, but I still engage in it anyway because I fucking love it so much. You get QTEs just about everywhere. Now for me, I don't mind QTEs when used properly. Like during cutscenes, I'm fine with it. Silly things like mashing a button to turn a crank is stupid. Mashing a button to escape a rock though, that's awesome. Another big change is the merchant. How could I make a video about this game without mentioning this lovable bastard?
Got something that might interest you.
Now we get a place to buy, sell, and upgrade. You find treasures all over the place in which you can sell for pesetas. You can use this money to buy weapons, health, and upgrades. The upgrade system is fucking awesome and addicting. You can improve reload speed, clip capacity, damage, and firing speed. Some weapons, after you upgrade them fully, you can lock their exclusive, which allows you to increase a weapon's attribute beyond its threshold. The only thing that could have improved is actually changing how the gun looks, like in BioShock. Folks, this is an action game. Don't fucking try to tell me this game is somehow horror. It's not. If anything, I'd say that's the biggest problem with this game. It tries to be both action and horror, and it does pull that off somewhat, but ultimately, it's just an action game with some horror elements. It should have just ditched all the survival horror mechanics. Inventory management, limited camera, lock moving while aiming. They should have just done what Dino Crisis 2 did. So right away, the action element is brought right to the front. There are some horror elements, but it's much more subdued here. One thing I do want to mention though is the game's length. The game is damn long in comparison to its predecessors. Like Resident Evil 1 takes me about an hour and 40 minutes, Resident Evil 2 about an hour and 30, and Resident Evil 3 about 3 hours. But this one takes me anywhere from 7 to 11 hours, and I think my first time through it took me about 17. This game is a well-paced adventure. That's a good way to describe this game, an adventure. Seriously, this is such an expansive game. You start in a rural village, move into a medieval castle, some research facility, and a military base, and these are just the main areas. In each main area, there is just a plethora of different small areas that all feel and look different. For me, I find the military base segment kind of bland. Moving on, the graphics are pretty good. Not as good as Remake, but it's a full 3D game, so what can you expect? All the guns look awesome and even have blowback. Where this game really shines in my opinion is the overall art direction. The village, castle, caves, and so on look fucking awesome. The atmosphere is great. It really nails every setting perfectly. One thing I really like about this game is the enemy design. I'll admit, I didn't care for the parasites when I was younger, but now I've come to really like them. A lot of the enemies are really awesome. The Ganados, on their own, are literally just people with weapons. Grandpa! But once that parasite bursts from its neck, shit gets crazy. The dogs are probably the most threatening they've ever been. Garador is cool and lame in the same sentence. I mean, he's just a guy with a thing on his back with big claws. But he's a guy with a thing on his back with big claws. Did I mention the big claws? Novistadors, or the bugs, are actually really well done. I know I complain about the bugs in Resident Evil 0, but here they're not just big bugs. It has its own unique design. Fucking Iron Maidens are my favorite. Look at this fucking scene. That's an amazing way to introduce an enemy. This fucking thing, it's got scissors on its back.
That's fucking metal as fuck, dude.
With this wide array of enemies, gives you a lot of ways to die. That was some of the first shit I saw about this game. The death scenes in this game are fucking brutal. Like when I was still in middle school, seeing Leon's head get sawed off, all willy-nilly, it really fucking terrified me. Like the series isn't new to character decapitations, but here, it's just so visceral. The bosses are great. All of them are interesting and challenging, except the fucking lake monster. That one is really boring. They all have used different tactics in order to defeat them. Speaking of bosses, this game has a great difficulty. On normal, shit's pretty normal. It has a challenge, but it isn't fucking insane. The professional mode is pretty fucking hard. It's doable, but it's nothing to laugh at. The puzzles are pretty similar to Resident Evil 1 and 2. Generally, find the missing keys and items to progress. Except this puzzle. Fuck this puzzle. Lastly, I want to address Ashley.
No.
So pretty early in the game, you actually find the person you're looking for, which turns the game into a big escort mission. Now a lot of people complain about Ashley since she's such a pain in the dick, and I agree.
Oh, no.
It's not like Dead Rising bad, but sometimes she does some really dumb shit. If you get good though, she almost never dies. At least I don't have a problem with her. Sure, she sucks dicks, but only a couple. She's usually right on your ass and out of the way, and you can occasionally tell her to get back to the dumpster where her father left her.
Get back in the fucking dumpster, you stupid bitch.
Now the story. It's fucking ridiculous, and that's why I love it. Honestly, before I started writing this review, I really wanted to give it a tough time, really heckle it, you know? But how can I? This game is just off the fucking walls. The cheese is back, full force. Seriously, the game is so self-aware, I can't even be pissy how it's caused Resident Evil to take such a dramatic turn. The story has my boy Leon making his glorious return as the president's bro. The president's daughter gets kidnapped, and Leon has to rescue her. He finds out some occult leader, Sadler, gets a hold of a new parasite in which he decides to inject into Ashley and send her back to America to re-raccoon that shit. Ada makes her beautiful return. Hey baby, what's up? She's here again to steal a sample. Jesus! Everyone in the Resident Evil universe wants a fucking sample of something. Piss off, go find your own. You meet your old pal Krauser, and he gets destroyed like a bitch. Honestly, the story could have been a crazy day in Leon's life, as he makes his way to the liquor store, and I'd still love it. The lines are cheesy as fuck.
I see that the president's equipped his daughter with ballistics, too. No, you stay here with Leon. He is better with the ladies.
Leon's little quips are fucking so stupid, I can't help but to love it.
No thanks, bro. Sadler, you're small time.
The conversations between him, Salazar, and Sadler are so childish, it's hilarious. The game starts off with what seems like a really serious premise, then just stops you right there and asks about bingo.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Jumping ahead, after beating the game, you unlock Mercenaries mode. Holy shit. This is fucking fun. I talked about this mode in the Resident Evil 3 video, but this game just takes it and makes it the man it is today. You go around getting time to kill shit. Literally. I could play this shit for hours. turn on some fucking awesome music, and just go at it. This mode really showcases how awesome the combat is. So to break up the monotony and let you see my beautiful face, I'm going to announce this is the segment where I talk about the shit ton of different versions. This is what you call milking the teeth dry. So initially, this came out for the awesome GameCube, and it was only supposed to be for the GameCube, you filthy fucking liar. Next comes the PS2 version. It's the same, except for one big fucking difference. It has the whole extra Ada campaign. I remember when I first learned about this. I was at my friend Cody's house, and he brings out the PS2 case. I'm looking at the back, and I see this shit. What the fuck? This isn't just an extra mode. This is like a 3-hour campaign that explores what Ada is doing, step for step, while you're playing as Leon. It's fucking cool, and I didn't even get to experience this until I bought the HD port like 2 years ago. GameCube owners got fucked here. Butthurt aside, so the PS2 version has slightly lesser texture finesse than the GameCube version, but So we get the first PC port, which is all the same with new resolutions and a bunch of problems, and god-awful fucking mouse and keyboard controls. The Wii version is pretty much the same. Motion control support for aiming might look a tiny bit better, but The iOS game, which looks like a PS1 game with heavy anti-aliasing. Fuck, this one's just really weird. Then we get to the HD port for the 360 and PS3. This one has all the content, but it's literally just been up-resed. All the textures are the same, but it still looks fantastic. The most recent version, which is the Ultimate HD version, which, again, has all content, but this time with updated textures. Cool, I guess. Oh, and 60 frames a second support. If you're one of those fucking pansies that act like 30 frames a second, fuck your grandmother. Right in her pooper. PC Master Race, bruh. I could go more in depth about how the survival horror and action elements blend to create this phenomenal game, but do I really need to? It's been praised from every angle at this point. It's had a long line of people ready to suck its dick. Does anyone actually dislike this game? Is there someone out there you know that does? If they do, punch them in their face. I'm a diehard old school Resident Evil fan, and I love this game. It's super fun and replayable. I've beaten it upwards 15 times, and it's one of my favorites to play, just behind 2. The only negative thing I can say about it is it's just really confused. It tries to blend survival horror mechanics with full-blown action, and while doing a good job, I feel like it's hindered by not picking one of the sides. Oh, and Ashley... Ashley's really fucking annoying. I mean, it's barely a Resident Evil game, but fuck, it's got the fun gameplay, it's got the cheese, the merchant is great. If you somehow haven't managed to play this game, then go do it. It's worth your time and your money. So getting to the final episode in the Resident Evil saga, and cutting all viewership ties, we get to the really despised games that follow. Now, if you excuse me, I've got some rocks to punch. Shoulders for shoulders, baby!